What's up, everyone? Thank you for checking out this episode of Raised a Geek. This week we talk all about Twisted Metal, the new show streaming now on Peacock and the game series that inspired it. So let's get into it. I'm Chris, and as always, I'm here with my buddy Don. How we doing, man?
Chris, what is up today, my friend? Everything's okay? Like the way you said twisted metal there.
Twisted Metal, yeah.
Because whenever you're saying metal, you got to sound like a metal guy, like a metalhead, like Megadeth, Metallica,
Yeah,
other,
metal.
other metal bands.
Didn't they do that with the games? Wasn't it like Twisted Metal?
I think so. Like on the opening sequence.
Like the opening scene, it was just like, I mean, it's been 30 years since I played a Twisted Metal game, but
Yeah, it came out in what, 1995 that game started? The
something
first
I
one?
actually have in preparation of this. I had that pulled up, and now, oh, there it is. I'm like, now I lost it.
Yeah,
It
if it's not
was 2000.
the first one?
Nope, I
Oh,
lied. I
I was
lied
gonna say.
100%. Yes,
Yeah,
95.
okay. I was gonna say it feels like it was like when the PlayStation first came out. It was like one of the first games,
Yeah,
the original PlayStation 1.
it was in
People
those
listening,
those giant cases.
yeah, people listening out there, excuse me, like probably have never played PlayStation 1 if you're of a certain age group. To them, like a PlayStation 1 is like a Nintendo for us.
Yeah,
Like that old thing, that big old put big old CDs in it. Well, you still
big
use
old CDs. Yeah,
CD, but like it opened like a CD player, looked like a alien spaceship. Yeah, but that's funny.
yeah, 1995. So I feel like, I mean, they did it with Resident Evil, and probably we sat there and thought it was so cool. They were like, oh my God, our game talked to us.
Game talk to us.
Like
Oh,
we heard
okay. Yeah.
words in
Yeah,
the
yeah, yeah, yeah.
game,
I gotcha.
because we always had to read everything
Yeah.
before the CD based games, and they added voiceovers, just like when we got uh to Final Fantasy X and everything was voiceovered.
That was like the first game like that. And I didn't like it at first. I thought it was weird. I was like, I just don't, this doesn't feel right.
I
And
just
of
want to
course
skip past everything.
yeah. Of course it was clunky back then. Like I remember Titus talking and laughing like ha 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 and just like, but it was like the planting the seeds for what modern games are today. Now, if a game doesn't talk, you're like, what kind of old shit is this? Games
Yeah,
have to talk to me, entertain me
tell
like a film.
yeah. Hey, even in Final Fantasy 16, there's been some moments where some of these other characters start laughing and their mouths aren't moving. And you're just
Yeah,
like, and they're just frozen.
like we're still not all the way there.
Yeah, sometimes we are, and sometimes we're not. So it's really,
Yeah.
really, really interesting to see. But I guess that's what we're here to talk about, Twisted Metal. You got anything else before we jump into it?
No, man, regular life. Went to see Ninja Turtles today, enjoying the weekend. So, just chilling, ready to talk some Twisted Metal. It's funny that we decided we were gonna talk about this show, which is like just very recently to Peacock. But it's like a 10 episode show. Now, granted, the episodes are short, but somehow you and I both managed to get through this entire season in a week.
Yeah.
And I just feel like we should pat ourselves on the back a little bit for that because that is something I never do.
No.
Like this is rare. So I mean, yeah, still a little bit amazed by that, getting through
Yeah.
an
So
entire
that
season of a
must,
show
and I mean, we haven't discussed it yet, but that must say something
about the
positive
what.
about the show.
Right. Or we're just dedicated to you know,
Yeah.
the
I mean,
podcast and want to get it in.
I did finish Secret Invasion because of that. So
Yeah.
I probably would have never went back to that show if we weren't going to talk about it.
Dedicated podcast right there, guys. He even watches the crap.
Did it for you, podcast listener.
Random podcast listener.
Random podcast listener. Exactly. So, Twisted Metal, that's what we're here to talk about today. They have a 10 episode. I wasn't expecting them to drop all 10 in one day. I think it came out like on the 27th or 28th of July.
Well,
So,
I'm
wasn't
not
expecting
I'm
all 10, but
I'm not familiar with watching too many originals on Peacock. Is that usually their thing? Or do they do weeklies?
I thought they did weekly. I thought maybe they dropped a couple at first and then weekly it, but maybe they're hit or miss on when they do. I don't watch a lot of Peacock originals either, so I don't really know. I can't even name another one off the top of my head. Wasn't there a Pete Davidson one? Bubkiss or
Yeah,
I don't
there
know.
was some there was some other one recently I tried to watch because it was made by Damon Lindelof.
Oh, the
Um,
the Miss Davis.
Miss Davis, where is that what it was called? Where she's like, it seems very weird, but I'm a big fan of Damon Lindelof, but like I couldn't get into the first episode, so I
I
kind of
watched the
stopped.
first episode and liked it, and then that one was a weekly one, and I never came back.
Okay,
So
yeah, Peacock's an enigma, and from the sounds of things, not doing too well. So we'll uh we'll see. But yeah,
we'll
we
see.
watched it all in a week.
That we did. So let's talk about some Twisted Metal. To start it out, I mean, Twisted Metal, we already kind of talked about it a little bit, but it was a video game series. It hasn't really been around in a little bit. The last one that was released was in 2012 on the PS2.
I thought there was a PS3 one, or maybe that was like a remake. I thought PS3 had something Twisted Metal.
I think they redid like Black on it. No, yes, sorry, 2012. This is their Wikipedia is stupid. Um,
Because
yeah,
anybody can put stuff.
2012 on the PS3 was the last.
Okay,
What I was looking at was Twisted Metal Black on 2002 was a spin-off game, so not part of the story.
gotcha.
But it did start. We had Twisted Metal 1 and 2 in 95 and 96, Twisted Metal 3 and 4 in 98 and 99, Twisted Metal
Mm-mm.
Black on the PS2 in 2001, Head on the PSP in
Oh
2005,
shit.
Head On Extra Twisted Edition in 2008 on the PS2, and then we had kind of the reboot in 2012 on the PS3.
How many of
And
those have you actually played?
a couple.
You know, a couple. Yeah.
Well, I know I played the first two. Twisted Metal 2 was probably the height of my.
mhm.
We played a lot of Twisted Metal 2.
That's what I was thinking. That's what I couldn't remember if it was two or three. I think I owned three,
Yeah, I
and
remember
maybe
because
two on some.
we loved Twisted Metal 2 and played a bunch of that. And then I think 3 came out and I know we still played it, maybe a little bit with 4. I never really followed the series off of PS1.
Yeah, me neither.
I might have played the PSP game. I might have had it or played it. That seems familiar. I know Black on PS2 was supposed to be good, but I don't remember ever playing it. I believe
Yeah,
I bought the last one, the 2012 one on PS3 when it was like on sale for like $5 when the system was dying. I don't know if I've ever played it. I'm keep thinking about pulling it out and giving it a
yeah.
go now with the show being out.
Well, the thing with those games is like they were just kind of fun distraction games. Like there
Mm-hmm.
was nothing really you had to invest too much brain power into it. Basically, for those listening who don't know, Twisted Metal is just kind of a car demolition derby, but your cars are like attached with all these guns so you can shoot projectiles and drop landmines, and you're kind of in a tournament, and it's just basically who can blow each other up. It's kind of like Mad Max meets a destruction derby or whatever, a little bit, isn't it?
Yep.
So everybody kind of knows Sweet Tooth, who he's been on all the covers, and like the crazy clown is
In the ice cream truck.
associated with it, and the ice cream truck. But yeah, just like a game you could just play. I was never huge into like driving games in the first place, never have been. But that
Mm-hmm.
one was just kind of fun because it was like a battle royal, just shoot them up in a car.
Yeah,
So
you
that's
weren't
I think
racing. You were just in like an arena
right,
or driving around the streets of Paris or doing something and you could
right.
destroy things. And it was just a well done
It was
game.
like
And it
kind of
was,
like yeah, it was kind of like Mario Kart, but you're like fighting. So like when you fight other people, not the racing part, but like the verses,
yeah, yeah,
just
the
like in a
battle.
big area and you battle in cars.
And it was stuff that you'd never seen before in video games coming out in, like I said, the PS1. You're just like, what is this? It was 3D. It was just next level. It was created by David Gaff, who was the original God of War on the
Oh
PS2.
yeah,
He did the
okay,
first couple Twisted Metals and then switched over to God of War, and he ran that series through up until they did this reboot, and then he did that. But all the PS2 and PS3 God of Wars he was a part of. So
nice.
he's obviously has makes great games, and those first couple Twisted Metals were great, and then hit or miss around. Like I said, I really think I believe I have the PS3 one, the last one that they did, sitting on the system, and I think I might just
Check it
check it
out,
out.
see
Just
what it
check
was
it out
like.
and see what a newer Twisted Metal feels like. Newer, 11 years old, but
I was gonna say even if you can count a decade ago newer, but it's the last one, so
they've also done comic books. They were
mhm.
tried to do a film adaptation that obviously didn't happen, and now here we are at a TV adaptation that actually worked, made its way all the way to
Yeah.
the small screen.
Yeah. Yeah. What did you think when you first saw this coming out? Like, were you excited? Like, we kind of got the announcement, and I remember seeing Anthony Mackie was involved, which I wasn't expecting, but was like, that's fine. I don't mind Anthony Mackie. Did you have like expectations for this, or what was going on? I know we have a long history with video game adaptations. They're hot and cold, hit or miss. I don't know, but
I thought very little. I saw what
me
they were
too.
doing, and I was like, sure, Twisted Metal. Okay, whatever.
Hmm.
I mean, I don't know what they're going to do with it. I'm sure it's going to be stupid.
Yeah.
And I didn't really give it much thought. I was like, we'll see it when I see it. If it comes out, what are they going to do with it? And really didn't think about it again until the trailer dropped right before, at the beginning of July, a couple weeks before it came out. And I watched that trailer, and I remember sending it to you, going, "Why am I going to watch this show?" Like the trailer looked fun. Like I was like, "Okay, I'm here for this." Like obviously, it could still suck, but I'm a lot more interested than I really thought I was going to be. That it came to the point where I was kind of like, I was aware of when it was available, and I was kind of like, I really want to check this out. So it kind of made its way from me not interested at all to
Hmm.
it was on my calendar, like ready to watch. So how about you?
Yeah. No, yeah, same kind of feeling. Like I kind of preface that with video game adaptations are always like dicey just because such a bad history. Now, has that changed lately after The Last of Us, or people kind of taking these things more seriously? Maybe, but still, Twisted Metal was never like super high on my interest level. Like I said, it was always just kind of like something we played just for
In the
shits and
90s.
giggles. Yeah, just for like stupid fun. But then after, like you said, after watching the trailer, I was like, oh, maybe this show is just going to be stupid fun, and that's okay. So I was totally open to watching it and giving it a chance. I forgot it even came out till you told me you watched the first two. I was like, oh yeah, I should check those out using my friend Chris's Peacock account.
Or
Um,
now until they all start putting up those blocks.
I know. Um, but yeah, kind of had the same feeling. I was like, who the hell's Anthony Mackie going to be? Uh, but
He's
I guess
John
we
Doe.
found I guess we found out. It was yeah. So
It almost felt like that this was kind of like a prequel to the Twisted Metal.
mhm,
Like I know Twisted Metal always kind of had a story with Calypso was like this big demon bad that was running this tournament, and to win this tournament something happened. I just remember always playing Twisted Metal 2 and being able to get to like Calypso, and then I would immediately get destroyed. um
mhm.
so I know that there was like a
He's like the
story.
big bad. He's like the big bad of
Yeah.
the series. Yeah.
And then as this series was coming towards an end, they started talking about Calypso and the tournament and some of those other things. And I was like, okay, this show was kind of almost just like a prequel to
Mhm.
introduce some of the characters and kind of give you some of those little hints. And then they really are like, all right, now let's go,
Yeah.
as if we would continue on with another season. So that was kind of cool to see that they are taking the show. I mean, what little of a story there was or what craziness was going on backstage, they took it and ran with it and really wanted to honor, for lack of
Yeah.
a better word, what Twisted Metal was and keep it alive, which was kind of cool. Wasn't
I
expecting
have
it.
a yeah, me either. I have a just a slight suspicion that not a ton of people are even really aware this is out because it's hard because it's Peacock. Who's really paying attention to what the hell is going on with Peacock? Unless you're like us and you're looking for stuff like this, you may not know. So like
Yeah.
before we get into spoilers, let's do a little mini spoiler free thing for those maybe who haven't watched this yet. Just like what you did you like it? Like we haven't even really got into that yet.
Yeah.
Did you like this show and why? Without spoiling things, but like what'd you think of it?
Yeah, let me start it off by just saying, for like you said, those who don't know, or keep it spoiler free for a second. But Twisted Metal was basically, if you haven't put it all together yet, it follows Anthony Mackie's character. He plays a character named John Doe, and he's a
Mm,
motor mouth outsider who's offered a chance for a better life. but only he can successfully deliver a mysterious package across the post-apocalyptic wasteland. So in this world, we kind of have these people called milkmen who deliver packages from city to city after an apocalyptic event where all technology crashed and all of the cities built walls and everything in between became wasteland that all the criminals got thrown to. And now you
Mhm.
have Anthony Mackie's character, who's like a milkman, as well as other ones that go from town to town delivering, supplies and packages and whatnot, and having to deal with the riffraff that are around the thing, which I thought was kind of little, Escape from New York.
Mhm.
We have seen that before. Honestly, I enjoyed this show quite a bit. I mean, I somewhat, I mean, like you said, dedicated to the show and gonna watch it all to do it. But I mean, it wasn't really much of a challenge for me to watch these 10 episodes. I mean, it helps that they were, 25 to 30 minutes max.
We got those attention spans where
Yeah.
that's important. Yeah.
But I genuinely enjoyed the vibe that they went with this show. They kept it very tongue in cheek, very kind
Mhm.
of just like we're gonna just have fun with it. It had Will Arnett kind of set up as an executive producer and trying to keep that comedy and a little dark humor going on through that, but just kind of really wanted to have fun with that post-apocalyptic. But I mean, they had all kinds of everything was a joke. Nothing was really took itself too seriously, and I think
Mhm.
that really helped with this um, IP because it's not really a serious IP. You have it, like you said, a clown with a flaming head flying, driving an ice cream truck, shooting missiles at people. So
Yeah.
it's like it's not the most serious of IPs to begin with.
Right.
So the fact that they didn't take it too seriously kind of really lent itself to being a pretty solid adaptation for what it was. So I mean, my expectations were super low, but the fact that they went super adult with it, they kept it on the mature rating side. They, it was violent, it had language, it's not for kids, but
Mhm.
I had fun watching it. I mean, I was surprised that like I was excited when Sweet Tooth showed up on screen.
Mhm.
Like he had his parts and that did not think that was going to happen or be a thing, but I don't know. There were parts that made me laugh. All the cast, it had a way bigger cast than I thought it was going to. A
Mhm.
lot of guest stars and people who were on it, and like I said, I had a good time. I liked it. What do you think?
Yeah. Um Once again, we're going to agree. I had a lot of fun with this show, and the funny part is that I didn't expect to.
Yeah,
Not that I didn't expect to, but I didn't have expectations for anything profound or whatever. And I'm not saying it was profound, but it was a damn good time. Just
yeah,
like just fun TV to watch that kept you interested. And the end of each episode kind of had a nice little cliffhanger leading you into the next one. Like you said, it was funny. Um the action was cool, not like cheap, not cheesy, just like the cast was really good, like you just kind of said. Anthony Mackie, who is the star of this, I don't think I've seen him be more likable
yeah,
in anything, and that's including as Captain America and Falcon and whatever else he's been in. 8 Mile. I haven't seen a ton of Anthony Mackie stuff, but like he kind of took the reins with the comedy, and like he pulled it off really well. Um, like you said, Will Arnett is always funny. He's got a voice for these things, and like the combination of him and Samoa Joe as Sweet Tooth, like they Darth Vadered it. Like one's the body, one's the voice. It was really pulled off seamlessly. I wasn't really thinking about it. I was at first, just
yeah,
because we watch wrestling, we know who Samoa Joe is.
yeah,
So I'm more interested in watching like Samoa Joe try to act and like using only like body language because he's
yeah,
not talking. It's like he's all right at this. These wrestlers, they're not bad actors. I guess they just act all the time anyway.
right.
Um, but yeah, man, just a fun show. I'm glad they kept it, like you kind of said, tongue in cheek and didn't take itself too seriously. Like imagine the show trying to take itself seriously and be like, The Last of Us or something, just dark and dreary. You can't do that. This game is kind of a joke to begin with. It's just kind of fun, mindless mayhem.
Yeah,
And that's kind of the tone they kept with the show, which which did nothing but help it. So I was a big fan. I hope people are watching this because I would love for more of this show. We'll talk about that later, but yeah, man, good time. I had a good time with it, and just one of those ones that's just an unexpected surprise, I would say.
It really was perfect summer show to come out and just kind of be, they let you know immediately what you were going to get into. Is like they opened it up with this crazy, like violent car chase through a mall. I mean,
Hmm.
halfway through, he like the video game gets slammed on the hood, and he's just like, huh, and he puts on his windshield wipers, and you're like, oh, it's gonna be this kind of show.
Well, we'll turn on the spoilers now. Now we're at a spoiler point, so we'll talk spoilers. But yeah, when that scene happened, when that twisted metal video game hit the windshield, and he kind of just looked at it like, "Huh?" That was before we'd gotten into the show. I was like, "Oh no, it's
Yeah,
gonna be like this is gonna be bad." But it fit. Now that I look back on the show as a whole, it was like it was funny. It was funny they did that.
yeah. No, it definitely fit everything that they were going for. Once you kind of dove into the vibe that they were given, and they were like, all right, this is the type of show this is going to be, you're like, okay.
Mm-hmm.
And it was a good place to do something like that because they didn't really dive too heavy into those types of Easter eggs or those types of like moments outside of that. So it's like they almost seemed like they were having more of their fun right
Yeah.
there in that opening scene. But it was fun, it was violent, it was, well done. Like I said, the car combat was really
Mm-hmm.
cool. And by the time you came all the way like full circle, like I said, we're going to jump around a little bit. But like when you were coming around to the end and they were having that big battle where all of the characters came together, that was fucking awesome.
Yeah.
Like and they were in the arena and they were doing that. I was like, this is Twisted Metal. Okay.
Yeah,
Okay. I see you.
that's as close to the game as they got in this
Yeah.
first season. That kind of scene where you have different people driving around, like the villain of the show, Agent Stone, played by Thomas Hayden Church, who's like
Hmm.
a character from the game, Agent Stone, and the
Hmm.
one lady in the race car, and everyone's got something different going on. Sweet
Twister.
Tooth's over here. Yeah, what was the name? Twister.
Twister. That was the name of that character in the game. She
Oh,
was the little race car, and then
oh
her
shit.
special power would be she turned into a tornado and pick people up and throw them.
You know what? Now I kind of remember that. So yeah, that was a nice Easter egg from the game. So Stones from the game. The car Roadkill was in the game. The second car they have after Evelyn, after he loses
Oh
Evelyn.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
So yeah, some callbacks to the game, but yeah, that was super fun there at the end. Just like the word I kind of use, just mayhem, and that's what those games are.
Yeah.
You
So it
know.
worked really well. I mean, I just thought from an action standpoint and a tone standpoint, they really nailed it. And like you said, kept it that apocalyptic, kind of almost brutal wasteland, but it wasn't like terrifying. Sometimes in those movies or those situations, you're watching people, and they get cornered by somebody and you're like, oh God, what's going to happen? And I never really felt that way because usually like John Doe was always keeping it light and trying to talk his way out of things. And then you
Yeah,
had Quiet, who was always just like kind of getting in trouble because she wouldn't listen.
yeah. It's
I'm
not
glad
like
they toned that down.
yeah.
That was getting a little old in the beginning that she just wouldn't listen to him.
Oh yeah, I
And I
know.
was like, oh my God, this chick needs to calm down.
No,
But
yeah,
she,
but like it being an apocalyptic show, I'm glad that, like you said, the sense of dread I didn't have like I normally would have in one
yeah,
of these shows. Like you just finished The Walking Dead, and you know all the Negan stuff, like that just crushes your soul, and it's hard to watch. And even stuff in The Last of Us is just like, oh my god, what's gonna happen? Who's gonna die? What's this? What that? This show, I never had that feeling. It was just like, and I like watching apocalyptic stuff, but that stuff does get heavy and like hard to watch. And who's gonna die and in what brutal way? I never really had that feeling watching this. I was just kind of like, bring it on, whatever's around the corner. This is just fun to me. So
yeah, it stayed fun even in an apocalyptic wasteland. Like all of the characters were kind of almost over the top.
mm-hmm.
Every group that they ran into were, like I said, over the top. They were goofy. They were
Right.
kind of funny
Mm-hmm.
instead of terrifying.
Yeah, there's this underlying comedy through the entire thing. So you were never worried, even though you were, but it's like, I'm never too worried that I'm going to be scarred by something I'm going to see in Twisted Metal. You know what I
No,
mean? Uh,
no, it wasn't anything like that.
right.
I was definitely pleasantly surprised with Neb Campbell.
Oh, yeah.
Like it was really weird that she was in this
And she was only in like the premiere
first
and the
and the
finale,
last.
I
Yeah.
think. Yeah.
But I
Mm-hmm.
liked that, she was setting up this scenario for John Doe of like, hey,
Right.
do this for me and you could live in New San Francisco. And she was painting this very nice picture until he leaves. And then she's just like, ew. And I'm like, oh, she's up to something. I hope we come back to that. And then I got a little nervous that we weren't.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I'm like, are we going to see Neve Campbell again? But then they dedicated a lot to in that final episode. They did a lot in that final episode for that episode being like the shortest.
Yeah, they crammed a lot in there.
They crammed a lot in there of just, a time jump and him
Yeah,
being, realizing what he wants. Like I said, man, I really like the characters in the show.
yeah. We kind of talked about Anthony Mackie a little bit, and we can talk about Sweet Tooth too some more. But like, what did you think of the other cast? You mentioned Quiet. I thought I liked that character a lot, and that
Yeah.
actress who I wasn't familiar with. I looked at her up later, and she was like on Brooklyn Nine-Nine, a show I never watched, but I don't. So, but I thought she did well. She like could kind of jump back and forth between serious and dramatic, and she even had some comedy to her too.
Yeah.
Like her and the character John Doe, Anthony Mackie's character, I felt had a good chemistry,
They
which
had
is
really good chemistry.
right, which is important in these kind of shows because if they don't, and you can tell the show is trying to just like force a chemistry that's not there, it doesn't always work. But
Mm-hmm.
like for this, I felt like they just played off each other good and made it believable, and I like actually cared about their relationship.
Yeah.
Like the like I cared whether they ended up together or they were losing each other or got separated. Like I was invested
Yeah.
in them two being together, which is crazy. Even like
Right.
one of the episodes, kind of in the middle of the show, which you might even just call like a throwaway episode, even though it wasn't, was just like them stuck in that uh playland
Yeah.
during that
Chuck E.
storm.
Cheese. Yeah.
Yeah, when like they were kind of connecting with each other mentally and physically.
In a
This
ball
show's
pit.
not this show's not for kids. Um, but like even that being like a mini throwaway show with not a ton of action in it, I thought it was good. Just like the relationship building between them. Um,
Yeah, was because that was when they were watching it at the movie theater too, wasn't it?
I think that was the same episode. If not, that one was like the one before. But that was when they were starting to,
Yeah.
you know, both let their defensives down with each other and kind of um, acknowledge that they're drawn to each other. I don't
Mm-hmm.
know. Their relationship was fun, and not every show like this is kind of like get all this relationship shits out of the way. It just isn't working, but it worked here. I don't know. I liked those two characters
Yeah, no, they
interact.
worked really well together, and they didn't just like throw them to like they were thrown together as characters, but then they didn't want to be there. They kind of did, then they didn't, and they would piss off the other one, and then there were levels to it, which was surprising. Like you said, that I cared,
Right,
that I cared about their relationship. The fact that they introduced Stu and Mike as two characters that were about to be eaten,
right.
and then they actually ran through the whole rest of the show as actual two characters that I
Yeah,
kind of cared about by the end too. Like I'm like, what's gonna happen to Stu? I don't want Stu to die.
like important characters.
Yeah, they became
They
like,
were
yeah,
part of it. Yeah.
yeah. It was just kind of really weird that every time they introduced characters, I was excited when they all popped up on screen.
Mm-hmm.
Like there was never a section where they would be like, they would show some characters and be like, oh, I don't care about this section or this
Yeah.
storyline that they're telling. Like all of them were, I mean, every episode had kind of like a flashback to before the fall or right at the fall. We got to see John Doe as a kid and
Mm-hmm.
losing his memory and trying to figure out. We got to see Agent Stone the day everything fell apart.
And we even got a little bit of Sweet Tooth as a kid, like
Yeah,
which I didn't know was him at first. Like him being a child
a
star
child
on a
actor with the who's mad that he was
yeah.
getting overstaged by a dog.
That was like probably the most brutal part of the show. Just like, oh no. Um,
Yeah.
but now I guess since we're talking about him, he's the face of Twisted Metal games. Um, Obviously, I think he's on like every cover of every game. Just that's who people associate with Twisted Metal.
Yeah.
So what did you think of the portrayal of Sweet Tooth on this show? Like we said, kind of played by Samoa Joe and Will Arnett together.
I thought it worked.
Mm-hmm.
I can agree with you in the beginning with the voice and knowing Samoa Joe and trying to figure out like, is this good or bad that they didn't let Samoa Joe do his voice? Because obviously he did all the lines and he had to act it out
Right.
on
And
set.
then
So I mean, it's all there.
Will Arnett just did like the voiceovers after the fact.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I mean, to match everything. So I mean, it's
Mm-hmm.
like his performance is there, and I mean, you could tell he was acting his ass off
Sure.
with the mannerisms and stuff. But I mean, after an episode, I mean, his episodes were fun. I like the fact that he had levels as well. Like
Mm-hmm.
he wasn't just this clown that was this homicidal clown, even though he was. But it's like even in his episode when they were in New Vegas,
the
He's just
only
like, I
one
just
in
want
New
people to come
Vegas.
to my
Yeah.
show.
Yeah.
What'd you say?
He was the only one living there in that entire town. They're like,
Yeah,
you know who
everyone else
runs
ran away. He
Vegas?
either
Yeah.
killed them or they were gone.
Right.
But then he was just like, I just want you to see my show. And then like because they bonded by singing Usher,
Yeah.
which was just kind of funny. And then they went to that show, and then his
Or I
show
think
was
it was Cisco.
Cisco. Yes, it was Cisco, the thong
Yeah.
song.
How can you forget?
Yeah, I don't know. But then the fact that they got to his show and they're just like, oh, they got a meal that was surprisingly good. And then
Right.
his show was just like the Hotel Channel
Mm-hmm.
reenactments. That was kind of funny.
Yeah.
Like he had layers to him, and then you didn't see him again. And I was like, man, I wonder if that was it. And then
Mm-hmm.
when he showed up again, and I was like, okay, I like this.
Right.
So I mean, I thought I did a great job with it and made him a layered character as well. Like he wasn't just a bad guy; he was kind of almost somebody that you liked,
Yeah.
saving Stu, and he wasn't just killing. He wasn't just a killer to be a killer.
No, he was complicated.
He was complicated.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
and yeah,
I'm no, go ahead.
I was just gonna say, yeah. Then adding him with Stu and Mike and
Yeah.
figuring out what he's gonna do, and him running into John Doe and Quiet again, and just being like, "Hey, guys!" like,
I knew you two were gonna make it.
yeah,
Um,
it
it's
just
funny that
worked.
they lit his head on fire too, and it stayed lit for so long. You
It
had to
stayed
do
lit for
that.
so long.
But it's like they're just following the Goofy video game, making it into a Goofy show. It's fine.
I did not care. It made me laugh
No,
every
yeah.
time they would show him, and his head was just burning away, and I was just like, "Man,
How
that's
come the rest
hilarious."
of them didn't? How come the rest of them didn't light? He poured lighter fluid all over his body. Um, yeah, I I liked it too. I like Sweet Tooth as a character, kind of like a scene stealer.
A little bit,
Whenever he's around, you're glad to see a Sweet Tooth scene. I'm glad they didn't make the show about Sweet Tooth.
yes.
Like it wasn't just like Sweet Tooth's adventure, because you might think they would do that because he is the face of the franchise and the face of the game. So it could like, but
I'm
he's
sure
just
there are
such a
versions of a script that are that.
yeah, he's just such an oddball character. It would have been hard to like do an entire show or Sweet Tooth on screen all the time. So
Yeah.
having him kind of be like a character who pops in and out, and he's this like crazy, wild card just off here to the side who you don't know when he's gonna pop in and he's just gonna do crazy shit. Kind of like the game us playing it, we saw damn Sweet Tooth's truck coming. We're like, oh fuck, it's Sweet Tooth,
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Run.
run, here he comes. That's kind of like what they did in the show. Here he
Yeah.
comes, fucking run. Uh,
right.
but no, he was funny. Will Arnett delivered. I mean, he's always good, and I was impressed with Samoa Joe as the character. Like we said, they kind of combined to do this together. Yeah, his backstory was fun. They gave him layers with his parents, and he had a vendetta against Stone too, and just like they made him an actual character, not just some psycho clown
Yeah.
blowing shit up all the time. So, um, good
But he
on
did
them
do
for
plenty
that.
of that.
He did do plenty of that. Some very, not safe for work, not safe for kids stuff with that machete in that car. But yeah, he was fun. I liked Sweet Tooth. Big fan of this interpretation of his character, I'll say.
Right. Yeah, it's just was like you said, something different. The other, as we're talking about like different characters, I was surprised at how much Thomas Hayden Church was in this and how
Mm-hmm.
important he was. Like I kind of expected him to be a one-off as well. Like, oh, he's Agent Stone and he's gonna, kind of, I didn't realize he was kind of gonna be the big bad and be in as much as he was.
And he was the big bad of the season for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I liked he had layers, he was a rent a
Yeah.
cop that wanted to be a cop and no one ever took seriously. And this apocalypse was his chance to be taken seriously.
Yeah.
So I
I
thought that
liked
was
him.
well done.
I like Thomas Hayden Church, like even from back in the Wings days, Wings for you kids. But Sandman, you probably know him more as for Spider-Man 3.
Mm-hmm.
But he's been in stuff. I like this character. I never felt his threat was like he never felt threatening enough to me,
Mm-hmm.
which I kind of feel like they might be been able to bump him up. But he was, but it just didn't like pour through as much as I maybe would have wanted. Like the dude killed Quiet's brother. He killed a bunch of people. He's this crazy whatever. But I never felt like oh shit, here comes Agent Stone. You know what I mean?
It was
Uh,
only that first scene
right. The
with
first
Quiet
scene
and
he
her
was
brother
very
and stuff, and I was
yes
like,
he
oh shit. And then once you kind of got the tone, and once you kind of realized Quiet was the main character, and you kind of
mhm.
lost, you did lose some of that. I can agree with you on that.
Yeah, he was more menacing in the his first scene than he was throughout the rest, which was, you know, I'm not saying it's terrible, but it's like I could have used a little more from
But
him, a little more like
yeah,
scare me, Agent Stone, like show me why, you're this big menacing guy roaming the Badlands or whatever. Show me why you're a, feared figure or
he made
whatever. A
him
little,
he made him fill out paperwork in
well,
triplicate.
yeah, yeah,
He
it's
took
true,
them to the DMV. You have to get a license.
right? That is
What
torture. So
what'd you feel about the music for this? They had a lot of like they shelled out some money for some music for this show.
yeah,
A
it was
lot of
fun.
Aqua Barbie Girl, which is timely because of the movie.
Hmm. No,
Um,
they had Hanson was in this.
yeah,
Like there was a cake song at the end.
yeah.
Like one of the fight scene in the semi truck was like Andrew WK Party Hard, which was
Oh
great.
yeah, it was Party Hard.
I was like, yes,
Yeah, that
perfect.
song is
Music
a
is
jam.
important. It is. Always has been. Music is important to shows like this. I feel like it kind of helps set the mood and tone. So when they're placed well, that's why we like all the stuff James Gunn does. He's always
Mhm.
great with that. So this show was like use that in a good way. I think a lot of the songs were well placed and like, they played that old hip hop song like Tipsy when uh John and Quiet were getting it on in the ball pit and
Yeah,
like Cisco. It's just like well placed, well timed music goes a long way with
yeah.
me.
That made it fun.
So yeah, it did make it fun.
Made the show fun, and yeah, I just liked all of that
Mm,
idea and them with their mixed CDs and
right,
the idea that it was thinking that the world ended in 2002. So like everything culturally was from then because that's like where the
right.
world stopped. So
Because
nothing
there would
after
have been
two.
no, yeah, there would have been no new music after, you know,
Yeah. So it was like everything that's what the world lived off of was everything up to 2002 and then that's it. So it was
right,
very early 2000 themed
sure,
the vibe
sure,
from that. So it was like I said, it was just super fun.
yeah.
uh I'm jumping around here with characters and stuff,
Jump,
but
jump around, jump around.
Jason Mantzoukas as the preacher
Oh yeah,
was hilarious.
he was funny.
Watching him do karate, like doing these full martial arts where it wasn't him.
Right.
Like it was so
Um,
blatant that they switched to like a body double as he was doing flips and stuff. God, that was so funny.
well, whenever you see him pop up and stuff, it's always a treat.
It
And at
really
first,
is.
I couldn't decide if that was him at first. I was just trying to decide if it was him or the dude who played like you've seen him in a bunch of stuff, but like who played Bernard, the elf in Elf. What's that guy's
Oh
name?
yeah, yeah, yeah.
They kind of have like the same face. So I didn't know if that was like him in a beard. I don't think it would have because he's a little older now and like
Yeah,
not in the same shape as whatever. But yeah, that guy's always kind of a laugh riot whenever he pops up on screen. I don't even know how to pronounce his name. You just did it. I'm not going to try. But
that was a guess, but
well, you're closer than I would have been. But he's a funny guy.
yeah,
So
he's.
that was
I
a fun
mean,
appearance.
you watch the league. He was in the league,
Mm,
and that show was hilarious. And
yeah.
it came around with when he showed up as Ralphie, and he was just
Mm,
insane with the things that he did. And
right.
so I have a soft spot from him. So whenever he shows up, yeah, I'm always yeah, he's got his shtick, but his shtick works for me. And the fact that he was this preacher of this weird cult
Yeah.
of the holy men is what they were called, but then they had their
Mhm.
dominatrix women.
Yeah. He played a similar character in Paper Girls for those who
He
watch
did,
that.
didn't he always,
Yeah.
I mean, he plays the same character, but yeah, he was kind of the big bad they were setting up for Paper Girls and before it got canceled.
Yeah. It's a shame. I liked that one.
Yeah.
Anyway,
Anyway, when and we might suffer the same fate with this one.
kind of scared of that. Kind of
Yeah.
scared of that. Like we haven't talked about the ending yet, and we'll talk about it. But this is one of those like finale episodes where it's clearly just kind of just wants you to hang, leave you hanging until like see you next season. That's kind of how they ended this. And I'm scared that we're not gonna get it. I'm already scared. One, just because I mean it's a good show. I think it deserves a second season. I pray it gets a second season, but I don't know if Peacock's gonna be around in it's like what, the fifth or sixth option for a streaming service, like bleeding money, not making a profit. I mean, you said before you wouldn't even have it if it wasn't for wrestling pay-per-views. Like, what
Yeah, I mean,
other
it's really WWE and The Office is really all I ever go. I'm watching 30 Rock on and now. I surprisingly go into it more, but it's because I just watch the same things over and over again. It's like I watch the same NBC comedies over and over again to have
Yeah,
noise. So, and I know that they're there. So I do spend a
yeah,
lot of time in Peacock, but yes, if I didn't have it, it wouldn't be
yeah,
the end of the world. And yeah, if WWE wasn't there, I probably would have never signed up for it.
yeah. If this was like a Netflix show, I'd feel good about it. I feel like it would, stand a chance for a second season. I just don't know. I'm just not familiar enough with like Peacock's, you know, requirements for to renew something and what's going to happen. Like,
Yeah, I don't know if anything on Peacock's ever gotten a second season.
right. So cross your fingers, fans of Twisted Metal, because the finale of this show kind of left you like, well, if you end here, that sucks. you know, um, started getting into John's past and realizing, seeing his family and flashbacks, realizing as a sister, which they never showed or talked about before because her part of the picture was burned out.
Yeah,
And
so he
then,
didn't even know he had a sister.
he didn't know he had a sister. And then at the end, him and Quiet separate because she doesn't want to end his chance of having a new life. And she runs into the sister, I guess, at the end. And you're just like, what? She's like,
Yeah,
I think you know my brother. I was like, yes. Um,
the dolls.
yeah, the dolls. And then, like you said, it's kind of like this whole season was kind of felt like a prequel to what the actual game is about, like a tournament. And then
Yeah,
they started talking about, the ending scenes of this is Nev Campbell's character basically taking John hostage and saying, no, you're gonna be part of this. You're gonna represent us in the Twisted Metal tournament that Calypso is doing. And they started showing all the pictures of all the characters, like, yes, he's in and he's in. And so I'm sure Sweet Tooth will pop back in. And like, dude, if you deny us a second season, I'm gonna be sad.
a little bit because it was going to be Twisted Metal. They were going to go to like a rundown Paris. They were going to,
Yeah,
they're planning on recreating some of those maps and
for
actually
sure.
having like these crazy. I mean, it was going to be car combat for season two. I mean,
Mhm.
that's awesome.
That is one thing I will say about this first season too, is like, for being based on Twisted Metal, wasn't a ton of car combat. I'm okay with it because the little bits and pieces they did give us were fun.
Yeah.
But like, I just thought there'd be a lot more, like more in every episode. But they went full episodes, like sometimes consecutive episodes, without doing car combat. I mean, there's driving and then there's fighting people. Um, but yeah,
Yes.
a little surprising, but I'm okay with it because, like I said, what we got was fun.
Yeah, it definitely worked in what they did. But yes, I'm surprised by that. But then seeing how they ended the show with knowing here's the tournament and here's this, I'm like, okay, that was their
Mhm.
plan. Was like this was all set up, which a lot of shows don't get. So I mean, it was definitely really cool to see. And yes, I want to see the second season. I want to see the combat. I want to
Right.
see the tournament. I read something that said that they were kind of almost ready for a quick turnaround to do a second season. They just need to be told, let's do it. So I'm
And
hoping
now with
that's
the
a good
right
thing.
now with the writer strike, it's a little hard.
Oh
But
yeah, writers and actors strike. So yeah, never mind.
you forgot about that.
Everything's over.
What are we going to talk about on this podcast next year? Nothing's going to come out.
Nope, we're gonna have to go back into the archives and watch some old stuff. Well, I did see, and this could whether or not we're ready for the segue or not, but I did see they have some video game adaptations on Peacock because I
Mm.
was about ready to watch the Double Dragon movie
Oh shit! Starring Scott Wolf, another Party of Five alum
and the
with Nev Campbell,
Iron Chef,
the
the
Iron
chairman,
Chef.
the chairman on Iron Chef, the Mark Dacascos.
Oh my God, you're right. He is the other one.
Yeah, he
Yeah,
was the other one. Uh,
that's so weird.
I haven't watched that movie in a long time. And I
Billy
was
and
like,
Jimmy.
yep, I feel like I was like, kind of want to watch Double Dragon and see how bad it is because I'm sure it's bad.
Well, that's another game tightly tied to our childhood, like Double Dragon 2. We used to play the shit out of that game. Uh, I was always Billy. You were always Jimmy.
Yep.
Stand on that grate.
Stand on that grate right when you beat the boss. Get to the grate.
Uh, I don't know about you. I always thought that game was weird because you could only kick backwards. Did you ever think that was strange? Like the
Yes.
punching was forward, but the kicking was backwards. So if you wanted to kick, you had to like turn around and like have someone behind you to kick. The kicking was
It was
freaking
really
weird.
weird. And then when you would turn around, the buttons would reverse.
Yeah,
So then you would have to like always your buttons would change. It would be like A would be punch when you're facing to the right, but then B is punch when you're facing to the left.
that's confusing for little kids. How did we manage that? Like with my child brain, I'm surprised I was able to grasp that.
We
Like
just
this sucks.
we just figured it out, man.
Yeah.
You just
Uh,
had to figure it out. So yeah, it was really weird. Um, but yeah, I'm seeing a lot of these other adaptations on Peacock, and we might just have to go back and watch some older video game
yeah,
adaptations or other comic book movies. I mean, I've still never seen Green Lantern with
you're better
Ryan
off.
Reynolds.
No need.
You don't
I
want to talk about that?
I guarantee you, no need. Um, but yeah, I mean, there's plenty there. There's been a lot of video game adaptations over the years. Some we could revisit. Some I've never seen. So we'll figure it out. I don't know. Writer strike. We support the writers, but do we? I don't know.
I like people making money. People should make
Me
money.
too. Me too. I agree. People should make a
So
living wage for
people should make
sure.
a living wage, and I can 100% agree with the fact that when you hear these stories about these like studios and they're bringing in extras and then computer animating them and only using them for one day of work, but then using their image,
Yeah, that's some greed,
that's
multi-billionaire
messed up.
bullshit. Yeah,
Yeah, that's messed up. I mean, bring people in and let them work.
yeah.
Don't find those cheap ways to do it. I understand, but it always going to come
It's
back and bite you in the ass.
it sucks for us just as viewers of this stuff that aren't tied to it. They're like, oh man, we're not gonna get our stuff, but you know what? It's for a good reason.
Yeah,
So pay them what they are worth. Like they make all your money for you, you rich assholes. So,
yeah.
um,
And
yeah,
the way
whatever.
I always look at it is there's a ton of shit that I always wanted to watch that I haven't watched. So if nothing new comes out for a little bit, I'm okay with that. I can
Yeah, we'll
use a
be all right.
buffer. I can use
Catch
a
up time.
break because there's a lot of stuff that I miss
Mm-hmm.
that I haven't watched yet. So
I agree.
I'm good. I'm good. Take your time, get your money,
Mm-hmm.
work hard. You keep the whole world entertained. So get paid for
Yeah,
it.
yeah, we'll be all right.
So back to Twisted Metal.
Yeah, yeah,
Season 2 would be great.
yeah, yeah.
No idea, but yeah, I guess we're both down to watch more.
Oh yeah, I was entertained enough where like the finale ended and I wanted another episode right away. You know what I mean? Because it feels like there should be one, but there's not.
Is 2023
Mhm.
going to go down as the year of the video game adaptation?
Well, let's see. We got this. We got The Last of Us. We got Mario movie.
Yeah,
What else you got on this list?
those were my three.
Oh, okay. I
Those
thought
are
you were
my
gonna be like,
three. I was like, we had Last of Us in January, we had Mario in May, and now we've had
uh,
Twisted Metal in August. I don't know if we have any other things, but I mean, just those
yeah,
three alone.
yeah.
When you think back to video game adaptations, it's kind of the best
Well,
we've had in a while.
no, yeah, it's a good run. Video game adaptations are traditionally like kind of just scoffed at by the general public. Like think it's like nerd stuff and stupid. And then like a lot of cases they are right. They're not well made because I just don't think the video game or the movie studios really like took it seriously as the basis for something. Like,
Yeah.
you base something off a book or an original script, take that all seriously. But a video game, like, it's a video game, just make it whatever, slap it together, they'll go see it. But yeah, man, ever since The Last of Us and how crazy good that was, and then Mario was like one of the funner movies of the year, and now this, it feels like it's a kind of a renaissance for video game adaptations, and that there's a lot of stuff on the horizon still. Like Horizon is one of those things, Horizon Zero Dawn, and They got God of War coming out. We've been talking about Gears of War thing for a while. There's a Gran Turismo movie about to come out.
That
I mean,
surprisingly looks entertaining.
yeah. So I mean, there's a lot of stuff, like I said, on the horizon for video game adaptation. So that's fun for us. We like. There's a new Tomb Raider they're going to develop. So it's like there's a lot of things to kind of be excited about.
And this year we did also get Dungeons and Dragons.
Yeah, that's a video game? I thought that was a board game.
It's
No, it's
like
a video
board
game.
game. It's been video games before. It's like I said, it's
Okay,
on the border. You could call it a video game
sure.
adaptation, but you can easily argue that it's not. But
Right.
that was well received, and I mean, I saw it. It was really good.
Still got to watch that one. It's streaming on something now, isn't it?
I think it's on Paramount.
Interesting. Okay.
I'm looking through a list. Apparently, we're getting a Borderlands movie.
Yeah, I'd heard about that too, and you can't forget the I guess The Witcher is a video game stuff too. Um, say what you will about that, but people like that with or without Henry Cavill. Um,
That's a whole other combo.
I know, but
But
yeah,
yeah,
man.
lots of stuff coming. I mean, this is a solid year of bringing video games to the big and small screen. Mario was the first movie this year to make $1 billion, and the
I
only
heard.
one until Barbie did it this weekend.
I was gonna say I think Barbie just did it.
Yeah, Barbie
Uh,
just did it this weekend, but Mario was the first one, and we're over halfway through this year, and Mario was the only movie that brought that many people out
mm-hmm. Yeah,
until we hit this Barbenheimer meme marketing
phenomenon. Uh,
phenomenon.
Yeah, and
So,
Mario was good for like too. Like it gives you an idea. Like hopefully Nintendo wants to do more of these.
no, they
Give
100% do.
give us a Zelda movie, give us a Donkey Kong movie, give us everything.
Oh yeah,
Uh,
that all culminates in a Smash Brothers movie. Yeah,
exactly,
thank you,
exactly.
thank you.
Yeah,
That's going to be
and
their Avengers, the
oh my god,
NCU.
I think you just coined something. You need to. I don't know who you need to send an email to at Nintendo, guys. Called the NCU. Oh my god.
The NCU
I'd
tie a bunch of these movies together,
be more
culminated in
interested. I'm more interested in the NCU than the MCU. So
100%. 100% more interested in that. I know, and as we're talking about Peacock, Mario Brothers is now the only place you can stream on
yes,
Peacock. I said that backwards, but Peacock is the only place you can stream Mario Brothers. I was debating about watching it again.
yeah. Nice little 90-minute movie. Just
Yeah, it was
a
a good
fun
time.
shot of fun.
Was there Do you have any adaptations just throughout history that kind of jump out as being good? Better than what we've had this year?
No, man, I think this is like the golden age of video game adaptations. It honestly is.
Yeah, because I mean,
Um,
we had back in the day, like you said, we had Double Dragon and
sure.
Mario
Street
Brothers,
Fighter and all those things.
Street Fighter. Hey, I can watch Street Fighter all day.
I feel that way about Mortal Kombat. The
Mortal
first Mortal
Kombat's
Kombat
100%.
movie.
That's one of my favorite movies.
No, it
Like,
is mine too.
yeah, it's just movie's amazing. I can watch it over and over again.
I still get like goosebumps when Scorpion and Sub Zero are brought in for the first time,
Yes,
and and I don't know why.
it's
That movie's fantastic. I don't care. It's
yeah,
still fantastic. I guess Mortal Kombat 2 is coming this year too, or next year,
yeah.
or they're in the production stages of that. Which we watched for this last one a couple or a year or two ago, and it was fine, but nothing's like that
No, I keep
Mortal
wanting to
Kombat
watch that
movie.
new one again, but
Yeah. Um, they just totally messed up by introducing like that new character and like he was the star
Goldface,
of it. Yeah. That was kind of like, make it
yeah,
be about Liu Kang. What are you doing? Um,
kind of. I wanted to after watching Twisted Metal, I want to watch Death Race with Jason Statham because I want to watch more cars exploding. I
I
know
thought
that's
you
not a
meant
video game adaptation.
you said Death Race at first. At first, I was thinking Death Proof. I was like, ooh, that movie's hard for me.
I only watched that in theaters. I never watched it again.
Yeah, I didn't like it. I like Tarantino, but I didn't really like that.
Uh,
Anyway, Death
but
Race. Okay.
yeah, I know. And in recent history, I know they did a new Tomb Raider. It was fine. I know they did Prince of Persia, which I don't remember watching. I remember
I
going
didn't
to the
watch that.
theater to see Assassin's Creed, but I don't remember anything about it.
Both those movies people rallied against because they did like Come on, fucking Fassbender and what's his name?
Gyllenhaal.
Jake Gyllenhaal's a Persian prince. Get the like
Yeah, with his British accent.
you guys are wacky for this one.
Yeah, people did rally against those castings.
But still, that's before this renaissance we're having. I think honestly, like Mario and Last of Us changed things for the outlook for video games. I think now studios are going to take these more seriously, hopefully, and want to make them quality, not just like kind of like a throwaway movie, based on a game, whatever. So hopefully, the things we see coming can kind of stand shoulder to shoulder with these things. Even if they're not as good, still just be quality. Video games is something we enjoy, but it's kind of looked down on by people. It's still a quality place to find your stories at.
Mm-hmm.
A video game can tell as good of a story as any book can. You had people after The Last of Us saying, you guys have been enjoying stories like this in video games and not telling us like this is what video games are, these kind of stories. And we're like, yeah, we've been playing them for years and trying to tell you guys that you can get this kind of stuff from a video game. It's not just,
it's not just Call of Duty.
It's not Call of Duty and Madden and NBA 2K. Like there's quality stories in some of these things. So when they're adapted in such a way that they, show that respect to the games that are good, it's like rewarding. I feel like happy and proud. Like, yeah, this video games, this is like respect us finally. You know what I mean?
Yeah, because we get made fun of for playing video games from large sections of the population of people that, like I said, only see video games causing violence and video games doing this. And they're like, you play video games? But I'm like, yeah, but I'm playing like The Last of Us.
Yeah, I'm enjoying stories that are awesome that you'll never get because you're a snob.
Yeah, so when they're done right, when they're adapted right, and people get to watch them and go, "Oh, this was awesome," then you're just like, "Yes."
Right.
And you all still don't know what's coming with Last of Us Season 2.
Yeah, that's gonna be a doozy.
Doozy. I hope that I don't know when that's coming now. Once again, writer strike, actor strike.
Strikes again.
Might have to rewatch The Last of Us. But yes, hopefully we get Twisted Metal Season 2. I really enjoyed this show. I really hope Peacock's around long enough to do it.
And if not, if somebody else picks it up, respects it well enough to grab it if they go under. Yeah. But who knows?
I 100% agree. 100% agree. You have any final thoughts on Twisted Metal or
no, man,
video game adaptations or anything that we missed? I'm sure we missed a lot because there was a whole season worth of TV to talk about, but
no, yeah, it was fun. Like I said, we liked all the characters. The story was fun. Didn't take itself too seriously. I laughed. I was entertained. I wanted to keep watching it, which is rare, like I said, to get through a 10-episode show in a week. So that's got to say something. I encourage people to, watch it, even if you're on the fence, even if you've never played the game. I just think it's a good time on TV, which there's not a ton of that. So when one does come around, you just got to appreciate it and take it for what it is. It's like popcorn TV, man. It's fun. You just want to sit and watch, pull up a chair and check it out.
You can binge it.
Yeah, it's a good time. Yeah, I'm a fan. How about you? Any last thoughts on that show?
You said it, man. I had a good time with it. I hope we get more. I hope more shows are taking this seriously. I can't really, it's hard to say that without smiling because it's not a serious show, but I just, like I said, you could tell that there were people involved with the show that cared about the game. And if we can keep getting adaptations that are like that, then we got a lot of good stuff coming down the pipeline. As long as people watch it. If nobody watches it, then we're never going to get anything. So watch it.
We'll never get a second season of anything if you all don't start watching something.
So if you've made it this far in this episode and you like what you've seen, but for whatever reason you haven't watched Twisted Metal yet, just put it on.
Yeah.
You have Peacock, just put it on. Borrow the password from your friend. Put it on.
Yeah. You won't regret it.
And just let it run in the background. Even if you don't want to watch it. Just help us out. We need your help. Get season 2 of Twisted Metal.
Do it.
Do it. Do it. But if you watch with Twisted Metal and you want to talk more about it with us or something that we didn't talk about on it, let us know. Hit us up on all the social media and podcast services at Raised a Geek. Subscribe to our YouTube at Raised a Geek. Give us some reviews and ratings over on Spotify. We're always looking for those 5 stars. If you want to send us an email just to talk about whatever within pop culture you're interested in, as well as Twisted Metal, let us know at raisethegeek@gmail.com. Do it.
Them's the places.
Them's the places. Them's the places. Make sure you check out our threads in our X account.
Oh God, I haven't updated.
You still have the bird?
I still have the bird. I can't bring myself to update. I don't want to see that X.
It's nasty. I was watching, this is a weird sidebar that I might even edit out of this, but I was watching SummerSlam last night, and like they would put like #1 trend in the United States, and seeing that X there instead of that bird is really weird.
Yeah, it's off-putting. It's strange.
It's so weird. But that is a conversation for a different show, because we're not that kind of show. So I think that all of this is going to do it for us this week. So for Raise the Geek, I'm Chris.
And I'm Don.
And thanks for checking out the show,
where geek is all we speak.